Okay, right. Here's a serious question for you. So, and you'll know this as a performer into his 60s. So, is the rush of adrenaline getting, because you know the cheer from the crowd or the boo from the crowd, the reaction? Do you get the same rush as a wrestler as you did as a non-wrestling manager when you were with Jack Swagger? Did you get that same sort of hit of adrenaline from it?
As being a manager, no,
No?
no, I just didn't. Because as a wrestler, you're actively in charge of those fans that you hope are raising hell and cheering or urging you on, or even as a heel, you're in charge of them. But as a manager, you're at the the mercy of your talent and see what they're going to do. I used to tell Jack, I said, Jack, do this. And he went, no, Vince don't want me to do it. I went, why? He said, well, he told me not to work the crowd. I said, no, work the crowd, Jack, because he's not going to, we need these people to get up. So he went out there and he worked the crowd a little bit and they came up. They just needed some encouragement from Jack. And I said, you see, you got to acknowledge them too. You want them to acknowledge you, but you just can't do that by doing leg takedowns and all. They're just watching. But if you say, hey, how about that? And hold your hands up. And he said he learned something that night. Play the crowd. Because Vince, you say, I don't want anybody to play in the crowd. That's all Vince does when he goes to the ring. That's the whole, when he is in that interest and he's doing this and that, blah, blah. So he makes himself the center of attention, but then tells somebody else, yeah, don't play the crowd. Well, he didn't tell Cena that. He didn't tell Flair that. He didn't tell, Triple H that on all those guys. And they got a big response from the crowd because that's what the crowd buy a ticket. If you buy a ticket, you expect to be acknowledged or at some point, and it would be a great honor for the wrestler to look at you and say, you need to shut up, boy, come out there and slap the shit out of you. Now you can go home and say, hey, he threatened to come out there and slap the hell out of me. They said, no, I think it's more like shit out of you. Yeah, oh yeah, well, that makes it even better. But the question was, oh, the manager, yeah, I like the working response a lot more. I had more control of it. And I've seen some guys go out there and they could just do a move and the crowd would come up and they'd pick them up, then they'd set them down. Then they go to something else, they'd pick them up and set them down. That's kind of the crowd you want. You want the crowd that is hanging on you every move, everything. They're paying attention. Like when Wahoo McDaniel, and I brought this up before, in Valentine, when they would throw those big, monstrous chops at each other. If you were ringside, you'd go say, those guys can't take that long. And they would leave and blood would be coming out, blood blisters in their chest. But when the people left, they looked at each other and says, I think those two son of bitches hate each other because they were really chopping away. Just nothing to the head, just all to the chest. It's like an unwritten rule. I'll chop you in the chest, and you chop me in the chest, and see who can take it. And after a while, it kind of explains itself. But they had some great matches, drew tremendous money. But you never heard Johnny Valentine in WWE or WWF because he was too old at that time. See, I was in Florida with him in, what year was it? I think late 70s. He had a plane accident and he couldn't walk. Mm-hmm. So that ended his career. But he made a trip with me one time. Not a big talker either, by the way. He talked, but not a lot.
I'm just looking. It's not a wrestling match. He had one match after the plane accident. It was an arm wrestling match against Gary Hart in Houston Wrestling, 1978.
Yep.
So there you go. I forget why I was looking him up.
And I think I was in Florida right before that. I think I was in I was in Florida in 1977 and went to Puerto Rico in 78. Now, maybe I went to Nashville in 78, Puerto Rico 79. Yeah. But I remember when he came in as the booker. And oh yeah, he's the one who wanted me to leave and go somewhere. And then, he wanted me to go to some other bullshit territory. I said, nah, I don't. I appreciate it, but I'll just book myself. So then I ended up going to Charlotte, which was like the place to be. I did about 9 months, 10 months there. Then they wanted to move me back to Florida. I said, you got to be full of shit. I just left there. And I said, it's the shits. I'm not going back. No, I went somewhere else. Anyway, hell, I spent most of the time me fighting the head offices, really.